Get your filthy hands away from my table. The man in the $10,000 tuxedo shoved Jordan's hand aside, nearly knocking her plate to the floor. "I'm so sorry, sir, Jordan said softly. "Sorry? You should be sorry for even being here." Richard Bancroft turned to his three friends and laughed. "Look at this. They really do let anyone in now. What's next? We will start inviting the homeless?" His friends roared with laughter. Jordan kept her voice gentle. "I'm a registered guest, actually." "Guest? In that cheap dress?" Bancroft picked up a large bowl of lobster bisque. The hot orange soup sloshed inside. "You know what? Let me give you something you can actually afford." He poured the entire bowl over her head. Thick cream cascaded down her hair, her face, her neck. It soaked into her dress and splattered onto the marble floor. The heat made her skin burn. Bancroft doubled over, laughing. "Now you look like you belong in the kitchen where you came from." She. Have you ever watched someone's cruelty become their complete destruction? 48 hours earlier. The alarm went off at 6 in the morning. Jordan Wells silenced it and sat up in her modest Brooklyn brownstone. Bookshelves lined the walls, packed with business strategy volumes and dog-eared leadership guides. A framed photo sat on her nightstand. A younger Jordan stood beside an older black woman with kind eyes and tired hands. Her mother, Evelyn. Jordan made coffee in a French press, measuring the grounds with precise movements. Steam rose from the dark liquid as she poured it into a simple ceramic mug. No designer cup, no fancy machine, just coffee. She stood by the window practicing a presentation, tablet in hand. Her voice was steady and confident as she rehearsed pitch points and financial projections. Outside, Brooklyn was waking up. Car horns, distant sirens, the rumble of the subway beneath the street. Her phone buzzed. A text from Maya, her assistant. "Bancroft confirmed for the charity gala. Perfect opportunity." Jordan's jaw tightened. She typed back quickly. "Good. Let's see who he really is." Across town, Jordan's office occupied a modest floor in a nondescript building. No gold nameplate, no corner suite with skyline views. The door had a simple sign, J. Wells, Consultant. Inside, Maya Carter sat across from Jordan's desk with a thick folder. She was 32, sharp-eyed, and had worked with Jordan for 7 years. "The due diligence report on Bancroft Properties is complete," Maya said, sliding the folder across the desk. "Everything you suspected. It's all documented." Jordan flipped through pages of financial statements and legal documents. Her expression never changed, but her fingers gripped the pages tighter with each turn. "And the C-Tech merger paperwork?" Jordan asked. "Sitting on his desk right now. He still doesn't know C-Tech's parent company is yours." "Keep it that way." Jordan closed the folder. "I want to meet him face to face first. See the man behind the numbers." Maya nodded. The real Richard Bancroft, not the philanthropist he pretends to be. Jordan had spent 15 years building Vertex Capital Holdings from nothing. Her mother cleaned houses while Jordan studied for her MBA at Stanford. Evelyn worked 70-hour weeks so her daughter could have textbooks and tuition. Now Vertex controls an $8 billion portfolio. Jordan operated through shell companies and subsidiaries. Her name appeared on legal documents, but never in gossip columns. Wall Street insiders knew her reputation. But her face? Most people wouldn't recognize her in an elevator. She preferred it that way. Invisibility was power. Richard Bancroft's face, however, was everywhere. News clips showed him cutting ribbons at luxury developments. Social media featured him at galas and charity auctions. The 68-year-old billionaire came from old money. Bancroft Properties had dominated Northeast real estate for 3 generations. But behind the polished image were sealed lawsuits, discrimination complaints that disappeared after quiet settlements, stories from former employees who suddenly stopped talking. Maya's report documented everything. Jordan clicked through articles on her tablet. One profile called Bancroft, a visionary in urban renewal. The photos showed gleaming high-rises in formerly diverse neighborhoods. The caption didn't mention the families displaced, the local businesses that closed. The communities were erased. Bancroft's current situation was precarious. He'd over-leveraged his company on too many risky developments. Banks were circling. Investors were nervous. He needed the C-Tech merger. The $1.1 billion deal would save everything. He had no idea C-Tech belonged to Jordan. Maya pulled up another file. Want to know the ironic part? Jordan looked up. Building 447 Riverside Drive, where your mother worked for 20 years. Maya's voice softened. Bancroft Properties still owns it. He fired her from his building. Jordan's mother had scrubbed floors in Bancroft's office towers. She'd cleaned his executive bathrooms and emptied his trash cans. When Evelyn got sick, Bancroft's HR department terminated her employment. No severance package, no health insurance continuation, just a form letter. Evelyn Wells died 3 months later. Medical bills she couldn't pay, medications she couldn't afford. All because a billionaire decided she was disposable. Jordan had been planning this moment for 5 years. Not revenge. Justice. The charity gala was tomorrow night. Urban Development Initiatives, the invitation said. Jordan knew what that meant in Bancroft's language. More gentrification, more displacement, more profit built on other people's losses. She held her mother's photo and made a quiet promise. Tomorrow, Mom. Tomorrow he learns what it costs to treat people like they're nothing. The Manhattan Grand Ballroom glittered under 1,000 lights. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. A string quartet played Bach in the corner. Women wore gowns that cost more than monthly rent. Men adjusted diamond-studded cufflinks between sips of vintage champagne. Jordan arrived alone in an Uber. Other guests stepped out of limousines and town cars. Drivers in white gloves opened doors for them. Jordan paid her fare and walked to the entrance. The registration desk sat just inside the main doors. A young white woman with a tight smile looked up from her tablet. Name? She asked. Then her eyes traveled down Jordan's navy dress. The smile tightened further. Jordan Wells, guest of Councilwoman Patterson. The woman scrolled slowly through her list. Her perfectly manicured nail tapped the screen with deliberate slowness. I don't see you here. I received a confirmation email this morning, Jordan said quietly. Well, it's not showing up. The woman's voice carried impatience now. Maybe you're thinking of a different event? Jordan pulled out her phone and showed the confirmation. The woman barely glanced at it before scrolling again. Finally, she found the name. Oh, there you are. No apology, just a printed name badge slapped onto the desk. Coat check is to your left. At the coat check, an older white attendant reached for Jordan's simple wool coat without looking up. Staff pick up their coats downstairs, honey, she said, still not making eye contact. This area is for guests only. I am a guest, Jordan replied. The woman finally looked at her. Her expression shifted from dismissive to embarrassed, but only slightly. Oh, well, I suppose. Here's your ticket. Jordan took the coat check ticket and moved into the ballroom. She could feel eyes following her, not welcoming glances, assessing ones, calculating ones. Who was she? Who brought her? Did she belong? She found a quiet corner and observed. This was Richard Bancroft's world, his people, his rules. Near the bar, Bancroft held court with a circle of men in expensive suits. His voice carried across the room. He was telling a story about a development project in Brooklyn. We're upgrading the neighborhood, he said, gesturing with his scotch glass. Bringing in better demographics. You know what I mean. The men around him chuckled knowingly. They absolutely knew what he meant. Jordan watched as he continued. Some of the locals complained, of course. They always do. But progress requires difficult choices. You can't make everyone happy. One of his companions nodded, especially when everyone doesn't understand what's good for them. More laughter. Jordan's hands clenched at her sides. She moved toward the buffet when the crowd thinned. Elegant displays of food stretched across white-clothed tables. Salmon, caviar, imported cheeses. Everything is artfully arranged. Jordan picked up a plate and reached for a serving spoon. That's when Bancroft appeared beside her. His hand shot out and knocked hers away from the spoon. The movement was sudden and aggressive. Jordan's plate tilted, but she caught it. "Watch it!" Bancroft snapped, his face twisted in annoyance. "God, do they let just anyone in here now?" Jordan steadied her plate. "I apologize, sir. I didn't see you." "Of course you didn't see me. You people never look where you're going." He turned to the three men who'd followed him from the bar. "Can you believe this?" The men smiled uncomfortably. One laughed, the others looked away. Jordan kept her voice calm. "I'm a guest here, just like you." "Like me?" Bancroft's eyebrows shot up. He looked her up and down with naked contempt. "Sweetheart, we are nothing alike." He stepped closer. Jordan could smell expensive cologne mixed with scotch. His eyes were cold and cruel. "Let me help you understand something," Bancroft said slowly, as if speaking to a child. "These events, they're for people who matter, people who contribute, people who belong." "I was invited by Councilwoman Patterson," Jordan said quietly. "Patterson." Bancroft rolled his eyes. "Of course. She's always bringing her little diversity projects to these things." He turned to his friends. "Remember last year? That scholarship kid she dragged along?" The men chuckled again. Jordan noticed other guests stopping their conversations to watch. "Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding," Jordan tried again. "Oh, there's no misunderstanding." Bancroft's voice rose. More heads turned. "You don't belong here. The catering staff entrance is around back. Go tell them Richard sent you. Maybe they'll give you some leftovers to take home." Heat crept up Jordan's neck. Not from embarrassment. From rage she had to swallow down. "I'm not a catering staff," she said, each word measured. "My name is Jordan Wells, and I'm a registered guest." "Jordan Wells," Bancroft laughed. "Never heard of you. And trust me, if you mattered, I'd know who you were." One of his friends touched his elbow. "Richard, maybe we should..." "Should what?" Bancroft shook him off. "I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of these people showing up where they don't belong and acting like they have a right to be here." He picked up a bowl from the buffet table. Lobster bisque. The soup was hot, still steaming, thick and orange under the lights. Jordan saw what was coming. She stood perfectly still. "You want to be served?" Bancroft's smile was vicious. "Fine. Let me serve you properly." He raised the bowl high. Jordan didn't move, didn't flinch, just looked him straight in the eye. The soup poured over her head in a hot, thick cascade. It drenched her hair and ran down her face. The cream soaked into her dress and dripped onto her shoes. Chunks of lobster meat slid down her shoulders. The heat made her skin burn. Bancroft threw his head back and laughed. The sound echoed across the suddenly silent ballroom. His three friends joined in, their laughter nervous and forced. "There!" Bancroft roared. "Now you look like you belong in the kitchen where you came from." Soup dripped from Jordan's nose. Her hair hung in wet, cream-coated strands. Her dress clung to her skin, ruined. She could taste lobster bisque on her lips, but she didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't run. She stood there, dripping, and looked at Richard Bancroft with eyes that could cut glass. Around them, guests had frozen mid-conversation. Wine glasses paused halfway to lips. Forks hovered over plates. At least 7 people had their phones out, cameras recording. One older woman gasped audibly. "Did he just..." Her husband grabbed her arm. Helen, not our business. But no one stopped Bancroft. No one confronted him. No one helped Jordan. This was his world, his rules, his power. Bancroft turned to his audience, arms spread wide like a performer taking a bow. What? She wanted to eat with us. I fed her. More laughter from his friends. Some people need to learn their place. Consider it a free lesson. Jordan slowly wiped soup from her eyes with the back of her hand. Her movements were careful and controlled. She looked at Bancroft for a long moment. Everyone in the immediate area held their breath. Thank you, she said quietly, for showing me exactly who you are. Bancroft's smile faltered slightly. Something in her voice made him pause. But then his arrogance surged back. What did you say? He demanded. Jordan picked up a napkin from the table and dabbed at her face. Cream came away on the white cloth. I said thank you, Mr. Bancroft. You've been very instructive. She met his eyes one more time. I'm sure we'll speak again very soon. Then she turned and walked away. Her back was straight. Her head was high. Soup dripped from her hair with each step, leaving a trail across the marble floor. But she walked like a queen. Behind her, Bancroft watched her go. Then he burst out laughing again. Can you believe that? He said to his circle. The audacity, coming to our events, acting like she belongs. He shook his head and reached for a napkin to wipe his hands. Some people will never learn. One of his friends looked uncomfortable. Richard, that was maybe a bit much. A lot of people saw... So what? Bancroft waved him off. She'll forget about it by tomorrow. People like her always do. They know better than to make trouble. Another friend gestured toward the phones that had captured everything. But the videos... Bancroft laughed harder. Videos, please. I'm Richard Bancroft. I've survived worse than a few cell phone clips. He straightened his tuxedo jacket. Now where are those C-Tech representatives? I have $1 billion deal to close. He walked away, still chuckling, completely unaware that he'd just destroyed his entire life. In the lobby, Jordan stood alone. Hotel staff rushed over with towels. The manager appeared, face pale and anxious. Ms. Wells, I'm so sorry. Let us help you. Can we call you a car, file a report? Jordan took a towel and pressed it against her hair. Orange soup soaked into the white fabric. Just call me a car, please, she said calmly. I need to go home and change. Should we notify security? Contact the police? Jordan looked back toward the ballroom. Through the doors, she could see Bancroft laughing with his friends, living his best life, completely confident in his untouchable status. A small smile crossed her face, cold and knowing. No need, she said softly. I'll handle this myself. The Uber driver didn't ask questions when Jordan climbed into his car with soup in her hair. He just handed her tissues and turned up the heat. Jordan sat in the back seat, cream dripping onto leather. Her phone buzzed. Text after text. Unknown numbers. She opened the first message. A video. 30 seconds long. Bancroft poured soup over her head. His laughter was crystal clear. Posted 8 minutes ago. 50,000 views already. Jordan scrolled through more messages. Different angles. Same moment. One video caught her face as a soup hit. Another showed the crowd's reaction. A third focused on Bancroft's cruel smile. She opened Twitter. #Bancroft exposed was trending. Below it, #Justice for Jordan. Videos multiplying. Thousands of retweets. Jordan called Maya. I saw, Maya said immediately. It's everywhere. Good. Jordan's voice was cold. Upload every video you can find. Make sure they trend by morning. Contact our PR team. I want a statement ready. Done. What else? Jordan watched city lights blur past. Execute Protocol 7. Silence. Then Maya's shocked voice. The full takeover, there's no going back. He dumped soup on my head and laughed. Jordan's jaw tightened. I've never been more sure. Understood. He'll be finished by noon tomorrow. Jordan hung up. The videos spread like wildfire. 100,000 views, 200,000, 500,000. Numbers climbing with terrifying speed. Comments poured in. Thousands. Anger, outrage, calls for consequences. Former Bancroft employees started commenting. He did the same to me. I worked for him. This is exactly who he is. My family was evicted from his building. By midnight, news outlets picked it up. Local stations, cable news, international media. The story had everything. Wealth, power, racism, violence, all in high definition from 7 angles. At the gala, Bancroft remained oblivious. He'd moved to the VIP lounge. Champagne flowed. Cigars were lit. Rules didn't apply to Richard Bancroft. Did you see her face? He was still telling the story. Absolutely priceless. His friends laughed uncomfortably. Richard, people were recording, one suggested carefully. So what? I'm untouchable. Bancroft waved his cigar dismissively. David Carter and Sarah Rodriguez entered. The C-Tech representatives. They looked polished in evening wear. Bancroft's face lit up. There you are. Tomorrow we celebrate our partnership. David and Sarah exchanged glances. They'd seen the videos. Everyone had. Mr. Bancroft, have you checked Twitter? David asked. Why would I waste time on that? Bancroft laughed. Sarah's voice was quiet. You might want to tonight. But Bancroft kept talking about projections and markets. David and Sarah sat through his monologue, faces neutral. They knew something he didn't. Their boss had seen the videos. The night wore on. Bancroft drank more champagne. His friends drifted away with excuses. By 2 a.m., even his loyalists had left. Bancroft went home to his Fifth Avenue penthouse, slept soundly, dreamlessly, completely confident. His phone rang at 6:30. Bancroft groaned and reached for it. His PR director. He ignored the call. The phone rang again. His lawyer, chief of staff, 3 board members in rapid succession. What the hell? Bancroft sat up. Something was wrong. He called his PR director back. Sir, look at Twitter. The news. Every major outlet. Her voice shook. What are you talking about? The video from last night. 15 million views. You're trending #1 worldwide. Bancroft's stomach dropped. He opened his laptop with shaking hands. CNN. Billionaire CEO caught on camera assaulting black woman. MSNBC. Viral video shows mogul dumping soup on guest's head. New York Times. Richard Bancroft under fire after racist attack. He clicked the video, watched himself pour soup over Jordan, heard his own laughter echo back, saw the cruelty on his face in HD. Comments were brutal. 500,000, calling for arrest, resignation, destruction. This can't be happening. His wife Elizabeth burst in, face pale with fury. Are you insane? Elizabeth, I can explain. Explain what? Assaulting a woman and laughing? She grabbed the laptop. It's on every morning show. Our friends are calling. The club is calling. Bancroft's phone rang. His board chairman. Richard, we need to talk, now. I'm sure we can handle this. Handle this? 7 videos from 7 angles showing assault. Our stock opened down 47%. The chairman's voice was ice. 3 board members resigned this morning. Emergency meeting at noon. You will attend. The line went dead. Elizabeth was packing when Bancroft found her. Designer clothes thrown into luggage. Where are you going? Away from you. My lawyer will contact you about the divorce. Divorce? Don't be dramatic. You humiliated a woman in public, called her you people. The world watched you be exactly who you are. She zipped her suitcase. I won't go down with you. His phone buzzed. Text from his daughter, Madison. Dad, Tyler and I are issuing a statement condemning your actions. We're changing our last names. Don't contact us. Bancroft sat hard on the bed. His children. His own children. His lawyer called. We need a statement. Apology. Therapy. Large donation. It's the only way. I'm not apologizing. Then you'll go to prison. Your choice. The DA is reviewing assault charges. With this video evidence, you'll be convicted. How many years? With hate crime enhancement, 3 to 5, maybe more. The morning dissolved into a nightmare. Emergency calls with lawyers, PR teams, damage control that felt futile. By 10, Bancroft had aged 10 years, face gray, hands trembling, the untouchable billionaire crumbling. His secretary called. Mr. Bancroft, the C-Tech representatives are here for the signing. They've been waiting since 9. Bancroft had forgotten completely. The merger. $1.1 billion. His lifeline. Tell them I'll be right there. He splashed water on his face, practiced his smile. He could still close this deal. Money solved everything. David Carter and Sarah Rodriguez waited in his office, standing, faces unreadable. Shall we make this official? Bancroft forced enthusiasm. Yesterday was unfortunate, but business is business, right? David and Sarah looked at each other. Mr. Bancroft, David said slowly, we're not here to sign. The world tilted. What? We're here to inform you that C-Tech International is terminating the merger agreement, effective immediately. You can't do that. We have a contract. Sarah pulled out documents. Section 14, paragraph 3. The morality clause. Your behavior damaged our brand beyond repair. That's ridiculous. Get your CEO on the phone. Desperation crept in. I'll explain everything. She's already aware, David said calmly. She made this decision personally. Then I need to speak with her. This is $1 billion. You can't just walk away. We already have, Sarah said. The contract is void. No. Please. There has to be something. Bancroft's legs felt weak. Without this deal, everything would collapse. The office door opened. Jordan Wells walked in. Charcoal gray power suit, hair in a sleek bun, designer glasses, leather portfolio. She moved with absolute confidence. She looked nothing like last night. But Bancroft recognized her immediately. You. The word came out strangled. What are you doing here? Jordan sat at the head of his conference table. His table. In his office. Like she owned it. She placed a business card in front of him. Jordan Wells. Founder and CEO, Vertex Capital Holdings Board Chair, C-Tech International. Bancroft stared at the card. His hands started shaking. This can't be real. Jordan sat perfectly still at the head of the conference table. Her hands rested on the leather portfolio. Her expression was calm, almost peaceful. Bancroft picked up the business card with trembling fingers. The embossed letters seemed to blur before his eyes. This is a mistake, he said. Some kind of joke. No joke. Jordan's voice was quiet, steady. C-Tech International is a wholly owned subsidiary of Vertex Capital, my company. Which means the mystery investor you've been courting for 6 months? That was me. Bancroft's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. The $1.1 billion you need to save Bancroft Properties? Jordan continued. That's my money, my decision, my power. But you're... Bancroft stopped himself, his face flushed red. I'm what? Jordan leaned forward slightly. Say it. Tell me what you think I am. Bancroft looked at David and Sarah. They stood against the wall like sentries. No help there. I didn't know who you were, Bancroft tried. If you'd known I was rich, you would have treated me differently? Jordan's eyebrow arched. That's your defense? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean when you said people like me don't belong? Jordan's voice stayed level, clinical. What did you mean when you poured hot soup on my head and laughed? Bancroft's collar felt too tight. The office was too warm. It was a misunderstanding, poor judgment. I'd had too much to drink. You were perfectly sober. Jordan opened her tablet. I have 7 videos from 7 angles. Would you like to watch them? No. God, no. Your stock opened at $62 this morning. Jordan turned the tablet toward him. It's currently at 33. You've lost 47% of your company's value in 4 hours. The numbers on the screen blurred. Bancroft felt dizzy. Your 3 largest investors have pulled out, Jordan continued. Your banks are calling your loans. Your top tenant activated their termination clause an hour ago. This can't be happening. It is happening. Jordan pulled up another screen. Your board is meeting at noon to vote on your removal. The vote will be unanimous. Bancroft's hands gripped the edge of the table. His knuckles turned white. Please. There has to be a way to fix this. Fix this? Jordan's voice hardened. You didn't just insult me. You assaulted me. In public while laughing. I'll apologize publicly. I'll donate money, whatever you want. What do I want? Jordan stood slowly. She walked around the table until she stood directly in front of Bancroft. Let me tell you what I want. She pulled a photograph from her portfolio. An older black woman with kind eyes and work-worn hands smiled from the frame. 22 years ago, you owned a building at 447 Riverside Drive, Jordan said softly. My mother, Evelyn Wells, cleaned your offices there for 20 years. Bancroft's eyes widened. Recognition flickered across his face. She scrubbed your floors, emptied your trash, made your offices shine. Jordan's voice stayed calm, but her eyes were on fire. When she got cancer, your HR department fired her. No severance, no insurance continuation, just a form letter. I don't remember. Of course you don't remember. She was invisible to you, just another black woman with a mop. Jordan placed the photo on the table. She died 3 months later, in debt, in pain, alone. Bancroft stared at the photo. His face had gone pale. I was 20 years old, Jordan continued, working 3 jobs to pay her medical bills. Bills that wouldn't have existed if you'd shown her 1 ounce of human decency. Ms. Wells, I'm so sorry. Don't. Jordan's hand cut through the air. Don't apologize now. Last night you looked at me and decided I was nothing. You decided I didn't belong. You decided I deserved humiliation. She leaned down until her face was level with his. You made that decision based on the color of my skin. Just like you did with my mother. Bancroft opened his mouth. Opened. Nothing came out. I spent 5 years building the power to destroy you, Jordan said quietly. 5 years positioning every piece. The C-Tech acquisition. The merger offer you couldn't refuse. All of it leading to this moment. Please. Bancroft's voice cracked. I have a family. Children. A legacy. My mother had a family too. Jordan straightened. That didn't save her from you. She walked back to her seat, picked up her portfolio. Your company will be bankrupt within 90 days. Criminal charges will be filed this afternoon. Assault. Hate crime enhancement. Civil suits from 23 former employees will be served tomorrow. You can't do this. I'm not doing this. Jordan's smile was cold. You did this. Last night. When you decided a black woman at a buffet was beneath you. She moved toward the door. Bancroft half stood from his chair. Wait, please. There has to be something. Jordan paused at the door, looked back over her shoulder. Last night you told me the catering entrance was around back, she said softly. You might want to get familiar with it, because that soup you dumped on my head? It cost you everything. She opened the door, started to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Mr. Bancroft? You were right about one thing. He looked at her desperately. We are nothing alike. Jordan's eyes were steel. I earned my seat at the table. You were just born into yours. And now? You don't have a seat at all. She walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Bancroft sat alone in his office. The silence was deafening. Through the window, he could see protesters gathering outside, news vans lining the street, his world ending in real time. His hands still shook as he picked up the photo of Evelyn Wells. Kind eyes stared back at him. He finally remembered her. Bancroft sat frozen in his chair. The photo of Evelyn Wells lay on the table in front of him. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. His phone rang. The board chairman. The vote is in, the chairman said without preamble. 12-0, you're out. Effective immediately. You can't do this. I built this company. Your father built this company. You're destroying it. The chairman's voice was flat. Security will escort you out. You have 1 hour to collect personal items. The line went dead. Bancroft stared at his phone. 40 years. 40 years at this company, gone in a single vote. His secretary appeared at the door. Her face was carefully neutral. Mr. Bancroft, security is here. 2 guards stood behind her. Young men in dark uniforms. They wouldn't meet his eyes. I don't need an escort, Bancroft said. This is my office. Was your office, sir. The older guard's voice was respectful but firm. Please gather your belongings. Bancroft stood on shaking legs. He looked around the room. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, awards lining the walls, everything he'd built. He picked up a framed photo of his children from his desk. Madison and Tyler, smiling at some long-ago vacation. He wondered if they'd ever smile at him again. The walk to the elevator felt like a death march. Employees lined the hallway. Some watched with satisfaction. Others looked away. No one spoke. Outside, the scene was chaos. News vans blocked the street. Reporters shouted questions. Protesters held signs. Dump Bancroft, not people. Racist billionaire, go to jail. Justice for Jordan Wells. Cameras flashed as Bancroft emerged. Microphones thrust toward his face. Mr. Bancroft, do you have a statement? Will you apologize to Ms. Wells? Are you worried about criminal charges? Bancroft pushed through the crowd. His car sat at the curb, engine running. He climbed in and slammed the door. The driver pulled away immediately. His phone buzzed continuously. Text messages, voicemails, all bad news. His lawyer. The DA is filing charges. Assault 3rd degree, aggravated harassment, hate crime enhancement. We need to talk. His accountant. 3 banks called loans. Need immediate payment of $47 million. Where do we get it? His country club. Membership suspended pending investigation. The messages kept coming. Everyone another nail in his coffin. At home, Elizabeth was waiting. She stood in the foyer with her suitcase. A town car idled outside. Don't say anything, she said before he could speak. My lawyer sent the divorce papers an hour ago. I'm taking the Hamptons' house and half of whatever's left. Elizabeth, please, we can work through this. Work through you assaulting someone on camera? Work through you being a racist? She picked up her bag. I stayed quiet through your affairs, your scandals, your tax problems. But this? The whole world saw who you really are. Where will you go? My sister's. Then somewhere you'll never find me. She walked to the door. stopped. Madison called. She and Tyler are holding a press conference at 3. They're denouncing you publicly. My own children. Your former children. They're changing their names. They don't want to be associated with you. Elizabeth's voice cracked slightly. Neither do I. The door closed behind her. Bancroft stood alone in the massive penthouse. 3,500 square feet of marble and glass. It felt like a tomb. He turned on the television. His face stared back from every channel. CNN showed the soup dumping video on repeat. A legal analyst discussed potential prison time. MSNBC had a panel of former employees, all people of color, all telling stories of discrimination and abuse. Fox News showed protesters outside his building. The crowd had grown to hundreds. At 3 o'clock, his children appeared on screen. Madison and Tyler stood at a podium. Both looked serious, professional. Nothing like the laughing kids from his desk photo. We condemn our father's actions, Madison read from a prepared statement. His behavior does not represent our values or beliefs. Tyler leaned toward the microphone. We stand with Ms. Wells and all victims of discrimination. We are ashamed to share his name. As of today, we will use our mother's maiden name. We are no longer Bancrofts. The words hit Bancroft like physical blows. He sank onto the couch. The massive television showed his children walking away from the podium, walking away from him. His phone rang again, the DA's office. Mr. Bancroft, this is Assistant District Attorney Monica Harris. We're filing criminal charges. You need to surrender yourself tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I'll have my lawyer contact you. We have video evidence from 7 angles, witness testimony from 23 people. This is not negotiable. Her voice was steel. If you don't surrender, we'll issue a warrant. She hung up. Bancroft sat in his empty penthouse as the sun set over Manhattan. His empire crumbled. His family is gone. His freedom ended. All because of soup and laughter. 3 months later, Jordan sat in federal district court. The courtroom was packed. Journalists, activists, former Bancroft employees. Everyone wanted to see justice served. Richard Bancroft entered with his legal team. He'd aged dramatically, gray hair now white, face gaunt, expensive suit hanging loose on his frame. He didn't look at Jordan, couldn't look at her. Judge Patricia Carter took the bench, an Asian-American woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. She looked at Bancroft like he was something unpleasant stuck to her shoe. The People versus Richard Bancroft, the clerk announced. Charges of assault in the 3rd degree, aggravated harassment, and hate crime enhancement. Assistant District Attorney Monica Harris stood. She was 42, black, brilliant, and had spent weeks preparing this case. Your Honor, the prosecution will demonstrate a clear pattern of racist behavior spanning 3 decades. This wasn't a momentary lapse. This was who Richard Bancroft has always been. She played the video, all 7 angles. The courtroom watched in silence as Bancroft poured soup over Jordan's head. His laughter echoed off the wood-paneled walls. 2 jurors, both people of color, leaned forward with expressions of disgust. Bancroft's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client deeply regrets his actions. He'd had too much to drink. He made a terrible mistake. A mistake? Judge Carter's eyebrow arched. Counselor, we just watched your client deliberately assault someone while sober enough to aim accurately. Let's not insult the court's intelligence. The defense lawyer sat down hard. Monica Harris called her first witness. Maria Santos took the stand. She was 45, Latina with tired eyes and work-worn hands. Ms. Santos, how long did you work for Bancroft Properties? 8 years. I was a senior accountant. Can you describe Mr. Bancroft's behavior toward you? Maria's voice shook slightly. He called me the help even though I had an MBA. When I got pregnant, he fired me. Said the company needed people who could commit. Did he give a reason for the termination? He said pregnant women were unreliable. That I should focus on being a mother and leave the real work to people who mattered. Monica thanked her. The defense had no questions. James Tyler came next, a black man in his 50s with gray at his temples. Mr. Tyler, your employment history? I worked in management for 12 years. I was passed over for promotion 12 times. Less qualified white colleagues moved up instead. Did Mr. Bancroft ever explain why? James nodded. Once I asked directly. He said guys like me should be grateful to have jobs there, that I shouldn't expect more than I deserved. Did he specify what he meant by guys like you? He didn't have to. His meaning was clear. The testimonies continued. Keisha Washington described sexual harassment and retaliation. David Park talked about pay discrimination. Rachel Okonkwo recounted being told her natural hair was unprofessional. Each story built a picture. A pattern 3 decades long. Then Monica called Jordan to the stand. Jordan wore a simple gray suit. No jewelry except her mother's pearl earrings. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Miss Wells, please describe the events of November 15th. Jordan's voice was steady. I attended a charity gala as a registered guest. At the buffet, Mr. Bancroft assumed I was catering staff based on my appearance. When I corrected him, he became angry. What happened next? He picked up a bowl of hot lobster bisque. He poured it over my head while stating I needed to learn my place. Jordan's hands rested calmly in her lap. Then he laughed. His friends laughed with him. How did that make you feel? Objection, the defense lawyer called. Relevance. Your Honor, the victim's emotional state is absolutely relevant, Monica countered. Overruled. The witness may answer. Jordan took a breath. It made me feel exactly how my mother felt. Small, disposable, invisible. Tell us about your mother. Jordan pulled out the photo. The bailiff handed it to the judge, then to the jury. They passed it along slowly, looking at Evelyn's kind face. My mother, Evelyn Wells, cleaned offices in Mr. Bancroft's buildings for 20 years. She was hard-working, reliable. She never missed a day. Jordan's voice caught slightly. When she got cancer, Mr. Bancroft's company fired her. She lost her insurance. She died 3 months later. The courtroom was silent. My mother taught me that every person has inherent dignity. How you treat people when they can't fight back reveals your true character. A tear rolled down Jordan's cheek. Mr. Bancroft spent his life proving he never learned that lesson. The jury watched with rapt attention. 3 women were crying. Monica had no further questions. The defense declined to cross-examine. Bancroft took the stand next. His lawyer had advised against it, but he insisted. Mr. Bancroft, do you regret your actions? Yes, absolutely. I made a terrible mistake. His voice was hoarse. I've learned so much from this experience. I'm not the man I was that night. Monica Harris stood for cross-examination. She held a folder thick with documents. Mr. Bancroft, you said people like you 3 times that night. What did you mean? I meant guests who weren't on the official list. But Ms. Wells was on the list. You verified that before assaulting her? I didn't check. Monica pulled out a document. This is an email you sent in 2019. Quote, we need to upgrade our tenant demographics. Too many Section 8 renters bringing down property values. Can you explain? That's out of context. This deposition from 2021, you stated that diversity hires were lowering workplace standards. Your words? That's not what I meant. Monica pulled out more documents. Emails, memos, depositions, each one revealing Bancroft's true beliefs. His careful courtroom persona crumbled with each piece of evidence. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They returned with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Judge Carter scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. When that day came, the courtroom was even more packed. Bancroft stood before the judge, shoulders slumped. Mr. Bancroft, you weaponized your privilege for decades, Judge Carter said. Her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. You believed wealth made you untouchable. You treated human beings as disposable based on the color of their skin. She looked at him with cold eyes. This court will show you that no one is above consequence. 18 months in federal prison. $50,000 fine. 3 years supervised release upon completion. 500 hours of community service at organizations serving communities you harmed. Bancroft's legs buckled. His lawyer caught his arm. And Mr. Bancroft? Judge Carter leaned forward. I'm recommending you serve your time at the same facility where many of your former tenants' family members are incarcerated. Perhaps you'll learn something about the people you've dismissed your entire life. The gavel fell. The civil trial came next. Jordan led a class action with 23 former employees and 15 former tenants. Sarah Rodriguez headed the legal team. The evidence was overwhelming. Internal emails showing discriminatory directives. Financial records proving black tenants were charged 15 to 20% more rent. Text messages mocking employees of color. The jury awarded $50 million in compensatory damages, $200 million in punitive damages. Total, $250 million. Additional orders included permanent ban from corporate officer positions and 10-year ban from real estate. Bancroft Properties filed for bankruptcy within a week. Personal bankruptcy followed. Everything went to auction. The Fifth Avenue penthouse sold at foreclosure. Art collection liquidated. Yacht, cars, vacation homes. All gone. Vertex Capital acquired the properties at steep discounts. Jordan now owned the buildings where her mother once cleaned. She renamed the company Wells Community Development. The ripple effects spread nationwide. 12 CEOs were fired for discrimination in the following months. Corporations implemented real consequences for racist behavior. New York passed the Evelyn Wells Act, strengthening anti-discrimination laws. Bancroft became a cautionary tale, a verb. Don't Bancroft this up entered common usage. Jordan had done more than destroy one man. She'd changed the conversation. 6 months after the trial, Jordan stood at a podium outside 447 Riverside Drive, the building where her mother had scrubbed floors for 20 years. A new banner hung across the entrance, white letters in deep blue. Evelyn Wells Community Center. Below it, a bronze plaque with her mother's photo. Evelyn smiled out at the crowd. Dignified. Beautiful. Finally honored. 200 people filled the sidewalk. Former Bancroft employees, community leaders, families who would live in the new affordable housing units. Local news cameras captured everything. Jordan looked out at the crowd. She wore a simple navy dress, the same color as the one Bancroft had ruined with soup. My mother believed in 2 things, Jordan began. Her voice was steady. Hard work and dignity. She worked 70-hour weeks, so I could have textbooks and tuition. She cleaned offices so I could build an empire. The crowd listened in silence. Richard Bancroft believed people like her were invisible, disposable, beneath him. Jordan's hands gripped the podium. He was wrong. She gestured to the building behind her. This center will serve the community he tried to erase. It will train entrepreneurs he would have dismissed. It will house families he would have displaced. Applause rippled through the crowd. The top 3 floors are affordable housing, 50 units for families earning below median income. Jordan smiled slightly. The ground floor is a small business incubator, free office space, free mentorship, free resources for anyone with a dream and the courage to chase it. More applause. Some people were crying. The second floor is a job training center, teaching skills that lead to real careers, not minimum wage, not dead ends, real opportunities. Jordan pulled out her phone, showed a photo of Bancroft in prison orange. the crowd murmured. Richard Bancroft is currently serving his sentence at a federal facility in Pennsylvania. He works in the kitchen. Ironic, considering he told me I belonged there. Her voice was dry. His friends abandoned him. His family won't visit. His empire is ash. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Good!" Others joined in. Applause. Cheers. Jordan raised her hand for quiet. But here's what matters more than his suffering. What we built from his destruction. She pulled up statistics on her tablet, projected them on a screen beside the podium. Since the Bancroft case, 127 discrimination lawsuits have been filed nationwide. 43 executives were removed from power. $500 million redirected to communities of color. The numbers scrolled across the screen. This center has already served 2,400 families. We've launched 87 new businesses, created 800 jobs. The applause was deafening now. Jordan waited for quiet. But the work isn't done. The system that protected Bancroft for 30 years is still there. Weakened, yes, but not destroyed. She looked directly at the cameras. That's why I need you to do something for me. The crowd leaned in. If this story moved you, share it, post it, talk about it. Make sure people know that actions have consequences. Jordan's voice strengthened. If you've lived this story, comment below. Tell your truth. You're not alone. She pointed at the camera. Subscribe if you want to see more stories where justice actually wins, where the underestimated become unstoppable, where power is held accountable. Drop a balance scale emoji in the comments if you believe consequences matter. Follow for more stories of justice served. Jordan paused. Let the moment breathe. And here's the most important thing. If you see discrimination happening, don't just watch. Record it, report it, speak up, because silence protects abusers. Witnesses create change. She stepped back from the podium, but she wasn't done. Let me introduce someone. Jordan gestured to a young black woman standing nearby. This is Ashley Morrison. She's 24. She just launched a tech startup with loans from this center. Ashley joined Jordan at the podium, nervous but determined. Ashley reminds me of myself at her age, Jordan said. Hungry, brilliant, constantly underestimated. She put her hand on Ashley's shoulder. She'll face people like Bancroft her whole career. People who assume she doesn't belong. People who try to put her in her place. Jordan looked at the camera again. Her eyes were steel. But here's what those people don't understand. Every time they underestimate someone like Ashley, someone like me, they're making a mistake. A costly one. She smiled, cold and knowing. Because we're not looking for a seat at your table anymore. We're building our own tables, better ones. And you? She pointed at the camera. You don't have a seat at ours. The crowd erupted. Cheers, applause, shouts of agreement. Jordan let it wash over her. Then she raised her hand one final time. So, here's my question for you. The one I want you to think about. The one I want you to answer in the comments. She leaned toward the camera. Her voice dropped. Intimate. Challenging. When you see someone being humiliated for who they are, what do? Do you record it? Speak up? Walk away? Because the next Richard Bancroft is out there right now. The next person is standing at a buffet table right now. She paused. Let the silence build. Will you be a witness? Or just another bystander? The screen faded to black. Text appeared. White letters on a dark background. Justice delayed isn't justice denied. Not if you're patient enough to build your power first. And below that, subscribe for more justice-served stories. Share if you believe in accountability. Comment on your answer. The final frame showed Jordan and Ashley standing together in front of the Evelyn Wells Community Center. 2 generations, same determination. The camera held on their faces, then faded out.